Hello, hello. I feel like I haven't been on here in a minute, but it's always a fun day when I get to make a YouTube video. So let me show you what I've been working on. All right, let's get set up over here. We have my very first Christmas junk journal for this season. Yes, it is late, and I'm only going to get 2 done this season. The next one I should have posted hopefully within a few days. So this is the first one, and I added this satin sort of rouged detailing around the edges. This is from some fabric, some Christmas fabric I have. I sold most of the fabric, but I did have some for myself to use. And then I'm keeping it closed with this, which you can see has a lot of extra room so that more can be added to this journal. Although you can see, so let it raise you up here. It is pretty thick because I do like to put a lot of fabric and thicker papers in there. And then we've got kind of the ruffled edge, and peeking out on the top there's little plaid with the pine cones. The bottom is like that. Let's have a look inside. So this just slides off. Oh yeah, let me show you. Well, if I didn't show you the back. I added this to keep it closed, which is from this wallpaper I have, and I really like the texture of it. Hopefully you're going to be able to see. This is the struggle with these. Okay, so right here we have this cable knit textured fabric, and then this pretty rose floral pocket, which I added some cardstock there to give it a little more stability. Journaling card, and this is from my digital, which now I have Christmas digitals in my Etsy shop. It's a brand new shop, and I'm so excited. So this comes with 12 by 12. There's 30 12 by 12 papers, but like I cut them down to turn them into journaling cards. And this one just has a little paper that you can write on inside. I like using this seal to kind of keep it tucked closed, and it has a flower on there. Okay. So I've added, if you can see, that little 3D puffy paint. It's not metallic though. And little journaling space there. I used this lace, technically a detachable collar, turned it into a little spot that can hold this little journaling card. He's also one of my digitals. Okay, I don't want to just keep saying, this is one of my digitals, this is one of my digitals. This is too, but I'm just going to link those in the description if you're interested in seeing any of them. Why I like making digitals is because I can sell them super cheap, and other people can get to use some of the same like vintage textiles, because I do a lot of photography and then editing and kind of making it my own. So here is Santa, like an old world Santa, and then I just added some journaling space on the back here, and on the envelope I added this like fluffy textured yarn. Hopefully that'll stay on. I'm wondering if, I use a lot of fabric. I would say the majority of my stuff is being held on by Fabri-Tac glue, and I can't help but wonder, as it gets into the cold months, is this going to be an issue with shipping? Like, am I going to ship it and then the person's like, the glue's coming undone? So I'm wondering about that. This is just a really pretty print, so I left that page, and I am leaving a lot of it blank for whoever gets it to decide. This is just some vintage fabric I tucked here, a blank page, and then, no, I've just clipped it on here. So you can clip whatever you want on there. Some of those elves from the 1940s coloring book, which I've been incorporating in all my journals that are Christmas themed. Here's one of those here's one of the journal tags I made out of fabric, like a fabric collage. I decided to leave them plain, and so they can be further embellished or use them as is. A few of them I messed up and I designed the front and the back, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, can't write on the back of this, but they're still fun. The little frayed edges on the goose. And I like this because it was green, and then I added the lace trim on there. This has just like a subtle texture to it. Oh, okay, so this is watercolor paper I cut out into this scalloped card style, and it just tucks right in here. And here's book pages of these quilts. I love using book pages, and it's hard for me to find some good Christmas ones, but when I have them, I like to include them. Here's a Christmas card that I just added some fabric to and distressed the edge, and then I left the rest as it was. I just really like this embossed details and then metallic details. So this just tucks right in here. This came in the mail. This graphic came in the mail. It was like Hy-Vee or Costco or something, and I loved that for the Christmas journal. I put it on this envelope, and then there's just paper inside for journaling. I used a lot of scrapbook paper for this journal, and I think that's something I'm going to keep doing moving forward. I really like that. Oh boy. I just realized the microphone was covered that whole time. Hang on. Okay, so I think I got it figured out. Let's take off my flannel shirt so hopefully it won't rub against the microphone. Okay, this is where we left off. So this is just journaling paper, scrapbook paper for journaling. I love this poinsettia image. This also came in the mail. I think that same advertisement, and I turned this into a little pocket to hold this vintage fabric, and I used one of these on the corner of one of the pages. This is part of one of my 12 by 12 pages. I turned this into a belly band, and then we have more of that vintage fabric turned into journaling cards. I could have technically just put the fabric in here, but I like them already on the cards. Envelope. So there are a lot of pages that are left entirely blank. That is intentional. I have the tendency to over design, so I really want whoever gets it to be able to personalize it how they like. I love the metallic subtle stripes on this journal card with the velvet. This is one that I did the front and the back. I don't know, I just kind of like spaced out. So, and now that's just tucked into this organza bag. You could add a piece of paper on the back and turn it into a journaling card if you wanted. And then we've got some of these doilies, a little bit of lace down here. I added a lot of lace to this journal. I really like lace, especially vintage lace. Here's a collage, and I used paint and then coffee dye and sort of collage this together. And this is an image from the Graphics Fairy. If you haven't checked out her site, she has tons of free images that are amazing. Then let me show you the nice sort of, it reminds me of canvas, this texture. It's like a light brownish kind of, I don't know if that's brown or tan or what, but I like the idea of leaving it blank. It reminds me of a blank canvas. Here's a parchment paper, or is it a certificate paper? But it is that sort of parchment. What's the word? I like that subtle pattern. Is that what I'm trying to say? Let's move on. Here's some vintage wrapping paper that I put on cardstock to give it more stability. More of the 1940s elves that I love. And we have an envelope here. What did I add in here? I don't remember. Little geese and just a little mini, what would you call this? Not a memo pad, but like a notepad, I guess. Another elf. And then we have some trumpets, or those French horns, some floral. This is vintage fabric, and then I've got a glue dot here holding on this stationery piece. This was actually, these flowers were like pink and purple, but I just threw on my music and kind of zoned out and took my gel pens and kind of made it more Christmassy with the red and the green. And then here's one of those fabric leaves. I just adhered it to the top of that page for a little decoration. Love this print. Here's a little digital collage I made with the Santa Claus and the patchwork background. I will incorporate this Santa and another one I have in here in next year's digitals, but I didn't get to it this year. This has a little leaf there on the corner, some of that green vintage fabric, and then I've got the velvet here. This is coming across, it's coming across kind of dark, but this is a lighter green. And this is kind of like a Kelly green. Oh, I think my stomach's telling me it's almost dinner time. I love this scrapbooking paper. I left it blank on the back, and then here's a journal card. I did coffee dye, and I went really heavy on the coffee dye on this one. And then I kind of collaged some fabric on there. Here is some pockets, a folder with, did I put anything in here? Okay, so there's another one of these. And then the little gingerbread cookie. I'm very proud of my gingerbread digitals. Very proud. But I used, in the next one I do, I'll show you more. I did like the houses and the more of the characters. Here's some hay and some vintage sheet music. The hay is kind of a nod to the manger. This is a more of a heavier certificate paper. Blank page, almost blank page. It has this sort of vintage, it's a vintage lace pattern. Blank on the back. We've got a card here held on by this fabric, acting almost like a washi tape. This is open. You can put whatever you want in there. And then this is one of my digitals. This just flips up for more writing space. And then we have more pockets and sort of this bronzy, not glitter, but kind of like a bronzy, interesting envelope. I just love this. I have a bunch of these and I'm going to incorporate them into my journals coming up. I think I skipped a page here. So more writing space, more scrapbook paper, more of the vintage wallpaper. And for some reason, I always want to split this, but this stays together. And it is a little cardstock that I use to make this sort of triple pocket. I love him. He's one of my digitals. I really got into the elves this year. And this is something I made for myself. I use these as thank you cards sometimes for my business, but I just add goodie stash here instead of diner. And I added one of these little cupcakes. This is a fabric by Robert Kaufman. It has lots of different cupcakes for Christmas, which I love. And then this is a journal card, and it's matching with the ribbon here. And this is blank on the back. Okay, we've got more of that textured paper. We've got some vintage fabric that I've just adhered right here so you can flip it, journal underneath. And we've got another Santa that I came up with. I will include him next year. And some metallic gold and metallic red hearts, doilies. Here's a vintage envelope that I have it clipped on here, but this is a velvet leaf, and then I added some checkered wrapping paper. There's a pocket here, and it's holding some watercolor paper that I cut into this scallop. Well, my Cricut cut it. Journal card. This is more writing space. I love this scrapbook paper. And then I pulled a few December pages out of this spiritual book. Then we have this. It isn't anything yet. I left it blank other than the sticker. Some cardstock here you could add to. Turn it into whatever you like. We've got another pocket here. Sorry, we're going out of focus. Blank on the back. And more watercolor paper. Can tuck these in. And then I added some of this dainty vintage lace here on the side. The elf pulling the wagon. And then we're getting into the other side of a lot of those pages. I do like that the one has the grid on the back. I think that's useful. And then I did another collage here. This one has a lot of music sheets, wrapping paper. This is ultra old, and it already had that tape on there, which I love. And then another lantern with some lace trim. And then in the pocket here, I've just got some gold shimmer paper that you could make something with. And then there's another one of those quilt images. Then in this one we have a pocket with some dangling lace and some embossed texture here. And one of my gingerbread people, my gingerbread girl. And then I just made a collage with one of my digital kits. We've got the teddy bear, the doily, and the quilted background. And then here's the last journaling card, the number 5. It's like a ginormous. And again, that floral, really pretty fabric pocket on the back. And there's the back. But I am also including, let me grab them. Okay, I decided to add these to the journal to include with that journal. You can see the metallic, the ice skates. These are handmade cards, and you can add your name there. You can add whatever you want to the card. You can use it as a journal card, a Christmas card. But the designs on these complemented the journal perfectly. And of course, I was thinking of them as journaling cards and extra writing space. But I mean, they would make really good Christmas cards too. They're so pretty. Just add whatever embellishment you want to the center of each one. A little personalized note on the inside. I love the subtle metallic. I don't think this one does not have metallic. But I love the classic green and red plaid. Here's a matte. And then here's my favorite ones. This. And this one. So those will all come with the journal as well. This will be going up on my Poshmark and eBay, and I hope it finds a home before Christmas. but I absolutely loved making this so much. I really love the satiny edges on that. I will have all of the details listed in the description box. And if you do decide to support my digitals on Etsy, thank you so, so much. I truly appreciate it because I'm getting so excited coming up with designs, and they're all Christmas right now. But as I make different journals, I'm going to do different themes. And so I'm going to do baby boy, I'm going to do vintage floral, I'm going to do geisha. And as I make things, I am photographing them and turning them into digitals with edits and the use of AI. So it's kind of a merge of old meets new and then just making it my own. So I can do a separate video showcasing some of the digitals. If you're interested, let me know. But everything is under $5. It's super affordable because I want to be able to have a way for other people to use the designs that can't have access to certain vintage textiles. And I'm super passionate about it. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And I should be back hopefully within a few days with my second Christmas journal. So super excited.